You're road tripping to America's best music venues with Kyle Lamont. On this episode, we're driving way down east to see how this region's rugged lifestyle and landscape inspires a local handbag and motorcycle seat maker. And then head to a show at the Pickled Wrinkle in Prospect Harbor, Maine. Concertcast the Podcast is an audio atlas filled with music maps, conversations, and discoveries to help you navigate America's soundscape and tune into every state's live music scene. Concert culture is travel-centric, and every venue has a voice, so let us go and listen.
To drive on Route 182, known as Blackwoods Road, is to be momentarily transported. In many ways, it's similar to that feeling you get when walking into a music venue, a portal that upon entering, imagination is unlocked and you're completely receptive to all emotions. Connections are made, and you can travel deeper inside the music and into yourself. Hi, I'm Kyle Lamont, and this road is important to Downeasters. Not only is it a shortcut and moment of solace from Route 1, but grounds for inspiration.
It's all about, traveling and coming back home and coming back to where you want to be.
What's the name of that song?
It's called Black Road. Black Road.
Yeah, Black Road.
Come on now to me, let's head down the Black Road to a place where a man can free his soul.
Do you guys come up with songs while you're driving into town?
I write most of my songs while I'm driving, and I record them in my phone and then figure out how to play them on the guitar later. I have a note on my phone that's like, I don't know how many pages long, that's all just song, like a lot of like one-liners that sometimes make it into songs, sometimes don't, but I don't think in whole songs. I think in one-liners and lyrics,
He thinks
stanzas.
He thinks in like really good hooks.
That was Alan Guptill. He's the guitarist from the Fremont String Band who I spoke with before his show at Fogtown Brewing Company for the Ellsworth episode. When we were chatting about his point of view on being inspired while driving, I was nodding in total agreement. But rather than song hooks for me, it's scenes for a music video. A few years ago, I was obsessed with the song Sea of the Edge by the Bright Light Social Hour, a psychedelic rock band from Austin. And while driving this road and listening to the song, I conjured up a love story about two travelers, one on a motorcycle and one on a sailboat, who travel up Maine's rocky coastline and rendezvous at a lighthouse. It was the first sex scene I ever directed, but underneath the hot passion, it was a way of showing how beautiful this road is and also how love is so forceful it can bring people together. It was a no-brainer to ask my friend Emma Feeney to star in it because, well, two reasons. When you see Emma ride a motorcycle, your jaw slacks a little. She has grace and confidence, and also because she lives and works in Cherryfield, the town that 182 drives through. She was my muse for the video, which starts on a beautiful fall day in Cherryfield and follows her on a journey through Blackwoods Road. Then it cuts to her lover sailing up the coast. And then we see the two of them meet on a foggy day on an island in Cutler, a fishing town on the bold coast of Maine. We just have you in this outboard, like bombing through lobster boats, to capture the scene of you going towards this lighthouse. And to me, it will always embody your adventurous spirit, and it will always embody like our collaborative trust with one another.
Yeah.
And just the essence of the nature of what I was trying to like project is doing whatever it takes to get to a place in the name of love.
That entire experience was like incredible because I didn't know what to expect. And it was so gorgeous too, how you kind of walk through the woods. We had to like hike all the stuff up that forested path.
I felt as if it was so mystical, because of the fog, and it was just almost a little scary or doomsday-ish, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like when we got onto the island, like the clouds did clear a little bit, but what was your initial thought? Because you can't really see the lighthouse from the wharf. So what was it like when you first laid eyes on this just quaint little lighthouse in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, and it's like not even quaint. It's like majestic.
When Emma isn't making music videos with me, she's making high-end leather bags and motorcycle seats. And I am en route to meet with her at her studio in Cherryfield, Maine. Blackwoods Road connects two towns called Franklin and Cherryfield. And when I said earlier that it's like being transported, what I meant by that is it feels like you're entering a fairy tale. The windy road takes you through a tunnel made of overhanging trees and wraps around ponds so clear you can almost see the bottom. You'll go over hills and carve around crooked corners. Schoodic Mountain seems to rise and fall out of nowhere. The experience is mesmerizing and also short-lived, which is also part of the allure. And did I mention there was once a rope swing that catapulted you into Fox's Pond? In high school, this was a go-to summer hangout spot, complete with a little cove to smoke a bowl in afterwards.
Actually, the last time we played Fogtown, good story, we stopped on the Blackwoods on the way and all went skinny dipping.
That's Aaron. He's the bassist of Beach Trash, a Downeast punk rock band fronted by a lobsterman by day and drag queen by night. Listen to their segment in our Ellsworth episode.
The whole band and everybody, all the people that followed us from the gig, it was great. In the warm summer waters, it was good, yeah.
And whatever you do, while driving on this road, do not pick up a hitchhiker named Catherine.
I don't want to see Catherine, but at the same time I do.
Right, you always wonder if she's going to pop up, right? It's just folk, I love it.
Maine's most well-known ghost story is about Catherine, a woman who lost her head in a terrible accident on this road, and that her and her significant other who was driving was never found. And she now wanders the road in search of her head and her missing loved one. There are so many stories about a woman wearing a blue dress hitchhiking, and when people pull over to help, she disappears. Or some have said that when she's denied a ride, she ends up in the back seat of their car anyway. All spookiness and partialism aside, this road is definitely a slice of driving paradise. On the surface, Cherryfield, a town known for being the world's biggest exporter of wild blueberries, not cherries, one would think that there's no subculture here. But nope. There is a very loud art and music scene going on, and the best place to see live music is...
Oh, the Legion Hall. Yeah. And also, I think it's Cherryfield Academy Community Center, because it's the old Cherryfield Academy, and it's like a gorgeous building. And they'll have bands in there, and they'll even have like a bar in there sometimes.
Yeah, what are those get-togethers like with people seriously coming out of the woodwork?
Oh, yeah. People come from all over, too. People come from Machias, which isn't that long, but it's kind of a different group of people. And everybody's dancing. It's really awesome. It's like serious dancing. And always live music. Like, there's a lot of musical talent around here. It's pretty insane.
And Cherryfield is the last place you would expect to find a designer of high-end, small-batch leather bags and motorcycle seats. But au contraire. For Emma Temme of Maven Leather, the region inspires her creations. Would you say that there is like a correlation between your designs and maybe where you work and live?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I want to think of it as gritty and raw and like, yeah, not refined. And I have found over the years that my designs change based on where I live. Like, when I first got started kind of playing around with leather, like that summer I moved to Portland and like I had some really like colorful kind of like 80s designs, like just really bright and funky. And then like later on I moved to MDI for the first time and like I found that the stuff I was making there, like I was using birch bark and like more kind of an earthy thing because I was spending more time in the woods. And now that I've kind of really grown into my style, and I think that the area is really playing into it because I'm looking in the woods and on the river, like on my property, like I walk every day. So that definitely trickles in. But I'm also looking at the different kinds of working mechanisms for this area. Like I'm looking closer at like how things come together, you know, old school designs, like things on boats, like how does that not work? Like how does that hardware work? And I'm putting that into the design and like the metals, like now I want to use copper and I want to use solid brass. And I'm realizing that like the hardware makes a really big difference. and I'm looking at what's around me, because this is just such a rough, hard-working area, and people don't just like go out and buy something shiny and new. Like, they have the tools and the mechanisms and the styles and techniques.
Some Downeasters even call it Yankee ingenuity.
Like, I've always worked with leather, and I've lived in other places, but it hasn't been until I moved here that I really developed a certain style and aesthetic and really like went for it with a business, because there aren't a lot of things in my way. I can do it. And honestly, if I don't do it, what else am I going to do? Because there isn't a lot of work here. So I think it attracts people who are like, I have an idea, I have something that I need to do, a passion, and I'm going to do it here because it's inspiring, and it's also going to help the community out too.
Emma recently moved from a room in her humble, off-the-grid home to a bottom-floor storefront in a house on Main Street that has an awesome view of the Narragansett River. The space was once a bottle redemption center, and then a hair salon, and even a second-hand store. Today, the place has a fresh coat of white paint, huge bay windows, and an awesome front porch. On one side of the room is her boutique, lined with shelves and racks made from pine slabs and old pipe that hold her work. On the other side is where she designs and sews bags. And in the back of the room is where she sculpts foam for her custom motorcycle seats.
There's a buzz about town. People are curious. I hear it at the town office. I hear it at the post office. People are like, what's going on? And then people are like, oh, someone saw you moving things in there the other day. So people are, raring to go for some fine leather goods.
When I walk in, she's definitely in the zone.
I'm working on some like custom orders that people have put in. Like, one girl is a musician from, I think she's in Belfast, and she wants me to do a guitar strap. So that's cool, because she like sent me photos of things that she likes, like items. Like, she had a tarot card reading, and she sent me like a photo of her reading as inspiration, which I'm like, this is great. I love that, because I can see what her style is, so I can kind of create something that's going to be unique instead of her just like showing me a photo of a guitar strap, And then I'm making a belt for this guy. He gave me like an old brass buckle, and I'm just doing a belt for it. And I did some cool like stamping and dyeing and stuff like that.
She's listening to Fiona Apple's Title. The vibe is moody to match the weather, but I can attest that Emma is known to cut a rug, especially at local gigs.
Like, there's a lot of musical talent around here. It's pretty insane. And I think it's just because people grow up with the idea that being creative is really important, but also just the basic thing that there's not a lot to do. And I think people really like hone their creativity, and it's a place of no distraction. And I think that creates a really unique style.
Especially when it comes to playing music or learning the guitar or in general?
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of songwriters around here. Like, not just people doing covers. Like, people are writing their own songs. And they're, like, jumpy or slow. It's all different. And, like, Beach Trash, who we saw the other night. They're so fun to go and see because you can dance and you might not really listen to the words, but like, I got one of his songbooks. They're handing them out at one of the parties here. And I was just so impressed, like the poetry in what he's writing. And he does have something to say, but he's putting it in this package that you can really like move your body to.
Emma grew up in Winterport, Maine, and she gravitated to the upholstery side of the moto business simply because
aesthetics are important to me. I love fashion and I love style. And I didn't really want to start riding until I could make this thing look like me and be mine. And I thought too, like, well, I love to work with leather. I want to teach myself how to do this. So this is a fun job. I'm going to try it. And it seems like not a lot of people do it, which they don't.
She went to a leather upholstery school in New Jersey to learn more about the trade. And in just a short time, her work was in high demand.
I have to be a little bit selective. And I like the way people approach me too, which is something that floored me in the beginning, is they wanted me to choose them too. Because they have a vision and they have an idea for the bike. And a lot of people are looking for the right person to kind of complete it. Because the seat is really the last thing that you do. And you want it to be right because it's so important. And if it's wrong, if it looks like cheap or if the material's cheap, then the whole project kind of falls flat. And then too, even if it's not a project, if it's like a great bike and you just want a cool seat, like it will instantly elevate the machine to something that's really custom and really yours.
And driving her motorcycle around Downeast, Maine is a mission in itself.
So I would have to make myself, like, today you're going to go to the grocery store and you will take the motorcycle. And then it's like a process of getting your helmet on and making sure you have all your gear on and like hoping that you're not going to drop it when you get out of your parking spot. Because at that time I was living like on a gravel road. Like it was a lot to get on the bike by myself. And I used to think, and you might die. Like today you might die. This is dangerous and like you don't really know how to do it. And it would scare me, but I had to do it anyway because I'm like, I think it's fun and I want to keep doing it. And that just eventually melted away. And so sometimes it surprises me how I'll be on a motorcycle and I am in control of this crazy machine. People ride, they're taking in surroundings. And like when my dad rides, like I remember him saying, like, you just smell everything, you see everything, you feel everything. And that's true. Yeah, you feel that on a bike. Your senses are like overload. Like driving by the boat building place in Steuben in a car, like that's whatever. But when you're on a motorcycle, you're like overwhelmed with the smell of fiberglass. It's insane. Like you cough or sneeze. It's chemicals like burning, wood fire, stuff like that. Like you're sensing all of that. And then there's also the way your body feels when you're moving at that fast of a speed without a lot of protection around you. It's really exhilarating. And I think that you notice more about where you are and where you're going and where you've been, because it's not like you can really, I mean, some people do, I guess, but you can't really use a GPS. And you're not really going to put earbuds in to listen to music. Some people do, but I don't, because I feel fulfilled without it. There's something about riding the bike, too, that takes you back to this other time where, like, you need to read a map and you need to be aware of street signs and landmarks. And, like, it's going to take you longer to get there, maybe, because you have to stop and take a rest, because it is like it's physically exerting to be on the bike, and like you get dehydrated being on the bike and paying attention to where you're going. Like you might have to stop and ask, and so that really slows you down in terms of travel.
Another machine that she's totally in control of is her sewing machine, which is used to make small batch leather bags that have been deemed must-have items by the Maine magazine and Downeast magazine, two of our state's most influential publications.
And so in order for me to control this, I have to know how to fix it. That goes back to motorcycling too, because when you're riding like a vintage motorcycle, in order to ride it, you have to know how it works and you have to be able to fix it. And it's the same thing with this machine. Like I know the quirks, I know how to tune it up. Like I know when it needs oil. Like I can't neglect it, because first of all, I can't even pick this up or move it alone. It weighs probably 3 times as much as I do. And the closest person to fix it is like 3 hours away. So maybe I'll go to him once a year to get it serviced. But no, I'm taking care of this machine myself, and it does require taking care of.
So you did a little, what do you call it, a line?
I've found that when sewing, if you want to get some cool lines and if you want to do some straight lines, so a little philosophical thing for you, you always have to look where you're going and not where you've been. It's a big thing about sewing, because I do have my ideas and thoughts when I'm at the machine, just kind of going for it. Things come into my head.
But you have to just keep looking forward or you'll mess up.
Yeah, because you do have the tendency to look where you just were, like to look at the stitches you've already done, but you really need to focus on where you're going, and you need to keep the speed up. Because if you're slow, like the stitch is not going to look good. You need to keep it up, 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 and then you can get the straightest line.
And what is the feeling like when you have completed a bag or a seat?
I'm pretty pleased with myself, I have to say. It's a good feeling, and I say to myself, that's pretty fucking sweet. That looks good. And it's something I would use or wear, because I only really want to make things that I think are cool. And that's like the evolution of the business, you know, because there's things that you don't really agree with, but it's just your opinion. And, you know, people have their own ideas too. But I like to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I can see why that would look good.
All right, let's do some more little sound effects here. This is fun. I love the sound of this machine.
I kind of get jealous of other sounds of other machines because they're newer and they sound a little bit cleaner. Mine kind of slaps a little bit. But it is like, I have no need to replace this machine with a newer one.
While Emma was getting Maven off the ground, she worked at the Pickled Wrinkle, a restaurant and music venue in Prospect Harbor.
It will get packed in there on live music nights. It's great. It's so cool. I mean, honestly, I do see more music in Downeast, Maine than I did when I lived in Portland. It's easy to find. People are really doing it. And people do show up for it, too. You know, like, you don't really ever go to a place that's dead. When there's music there, like, everyone's going to go. And, yeah, the Wrinkle is, like, a big scene for that.
And we're heading there next.
A forager finds a family secret on the forest floor. From producer Kyle Lamont and director Jim Piccarello comes The Mushroom Hunters, a modern-day fairy tale made in Maine on Mount Desert Island. GoodToGoStudios.com to watch the trailer and more.
To get to the Pickled Wrinkle from Emma's studio, get back on Route 1 South, which will take you through the town of Millbridge. Then take a left on Route 186, the scenic byway around Schoodic Peninsula, which is home to the communities of Goldsboro, Winter Harbor, and Prospect Harbor. While whipping around corners, be very careful here. The smell of bait juice from all the fishing wharfs will waft through your windows. And you might be caught off guard by friendly locals waving at you. But don't worry, it's completely normal around here. You'll definitely be dazzled by the picturesque harbors with dozens of lobster boats glimmering in the sun. These towns are fishing towns through and through, but the area is also a big attraction for summer travelers who've caught wind of Acadia National Park's biggest kept secret, Schoodic Point. Schoodic Point is a reprise from Mount Desert Island, and the drive is partly the reason why. There are one-way roads wide enough for 2 cars and bicycles, and so many places to pull over and take it all in. And the cool part, it's open all year round. The iconic stopping point is Schoodic Point, and it's like a pink granite playground that you can walk on and bound on and explore. You're able to be so close to the waves that splash up through the glacial crevices, and you'll taste the Atlantic on your lips. Come here during a nor'easter, and you'll see things you never knew waves could do. I prefer Schoodic at sunset. While watching the orange orb settle into the Gulf of Maine, you can feel the moon silently crest over the rocky cliffs behind you. I say follow the moon as far as you can, and then you'll find yourself at the Pickled Wrinkle, a local restaurant and music venue. But first, what is a wrinkle? Well, it's a sea snail, a Downeast delicacy.
They're kind of a byproduct of lobster fishing. I mean, they come in the traps, and when I was a kid, my father is a lobster fisherman, so I would get really excited when he would bring wrinkles home. And my husband actually came up with the idea of that it would make a great bar name. I'm just an eater of wrinkles.
That's Sarah Christensen. She co-owns the restaurant and music venue with her husband. She's from Winter Harbor, and after graduating from Sumner High School, she moved to Hawaii.
I started working at an Irish pub in Waikiki, and that's where I met my husband. We worked together there for 8 years, and then we moved back here actually for the summer and got summer jobs. So he worked here and I worked at a restaurant nearby. That's when we got the idea to buy it. But we lived in Missoula, Montana after that for like 2.5 years and kind of planned things and saved up money and stuff.
Before the Pickled Wrinkle, there were other bars here. And let's just say they had rowdy reputations.
And the former owner worked really hard at like cleaning it up and, making sure it's not like a dive bar with brawls going on all the time. And he really wanted us to buy it. He didn't like put it on the market. He really wanted someone to kind of keep going with stuff.
And hosting live music was a high priority when opening up the Wrinkle.
The place that we met working in Hawaii, the owners had like 3 or 4 other bars in Honolulu, and they did live music was like their thing. So we would have like 3 different sets of live music every day pretty much. And we just knew that was what we wanted to do for sure, as much as we can.
What is your process behind booking bands?
We try to keep a variety going. We have our regular bands and it kind of, it evolves. We get the people that will play once a month, and then, they'll kind of start doing something else, and we'll switch it up a little bit. But mostly people contact me for bands.
Like, why are people reaching out to you?
I think people, very often they're going through Bar Harbor, which is a lot bigger, and they're just Googling music venues in the area, and they find us, and doing music on Mondays in the summer is really helpful to a lot of those people. They'll book in the area, and we'll be on the end of their little tour. It just helps them pay the bills.
In between sets, the singer from the band playing tonight comes up to say hello.
She's a wonderful human being and a credit to all humanity.
Thank you.
Who is this?
I'm just another musician.
Not just another musician.
Who is he?
I'm Cody Phipps. I'm with the Pitch Black Ribbons, and we are happy to be here. And Sarah and the crew always treat us really nice here.
And we love them.
Where are you from?
Maine, generally speaking.
And why should people come to the Pickled Wrinkle?
For levity and atmosphere and wonderful food and good service and all the right reasons.
Fantastic music.
Oh, that too. There's music. There's good music.
So you're getting ready to play your second set.
I'm going to get back to work.
How's the room feeling for you? How do you like this venue?
They're relaxed and they're comfortable and they're having a good time.
It's not pretentious here. It's like a good little ambiance.
Yeah, they're good people and just a great crowd. Consistently.
The history of the building goes way back.
Like our current bar section is an addition. It was over on the other side. So the post office, and there was a laundromat at one point. And the salon has been there, I think, the whole time. I got my ears pierced in the salon when I was like 5 years old. And yeah, there was a pawn shop on the other end of the building at one point. It's been through a lot, but this part has pretty much always been a bar.
The venue is split into a bar area and main dining room, which is where the music happens. My favorite meal here, by the way, is hands down Crazy Deb's seafood stew. But I digress. Design-wise, it's wood-paneled with kitschy signs and old nautical charts hung up. But the emphasis isn't on aesthetics. This place does the talking with its menu, clientele, friendly service, and unique energy. When music is going on, it complements your meal, but doesn't overpower it. However, when dinner time's over, there's plenty of room to dance.
Do you ever book a band and accommodate to the room? Or maybe like the band isn't made for the Wrinkle?
Yeah. When we first started, we would have like rock bands more often, and it does not work for our building at all. We need way more noise reducing, and we put up a lot of noise reducing panels, but it's a wooden building. It doesn't really work for like a loud rock band. And we had at one point I had booked someone, and this other couple showed up, and it was just way too mellow for the crowd. People were not into it. People were leaving. And I was like, okay, it's snowing. Maybe you guys should just pack up. I try to never insult anyone, but yeah, you can't like ruin the whole night because that's only happened once ever though. I mean, mostly we have awesome bands.
And maybe the unique energy is because it's just so laid back in here.
You'll have a clam digger sitting next to a millionaire and they're hanging out and buying each other drinks. Yeah, that's what I love about it too, for sure. It's like real people that you want to hang out with.
I mean, this area truly is transforming, you know, and you're stoked on it. I think your Pickled Wrinkle has a lot to do with that too.
Thank you.
I think you're definitely an anchor within this region of like cool place to go and get some great food, good music. Do you love just being out and about on the town and sort of hearing people talk about it?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome for us. I grew up in Winter Harbor, so I just remember everything closing down in like May. And everyone's saying, oh, well, you know, no one can support a restaurant in the winter. But I always thought, what about all of us that live here all year? And apparently there are people around that want to go out.
If you build it, they will come.
Right, exactly.
Excellent. All right, cool. I'm hungry.
I order my favorite meal and listen to the Pitch Black Ribbons play. It's nights like these that remind me why I love living in rural Maine. Being able to drive and visit with my friend Emma in Cherryfield, and then swing by the Wrinkle for dinner and a show. Maybe even gossip with an old classmate about the drama going on around town. Being comfortable is a big part of what community means. When traveling, I'm quick to picture myself, as anyone does when they travel, living in the town or city I'm visiting. Fantasizing about new beginnings and a new way of doing things can be so enticing. But in the end, it's just a fantasy, because it's Downeast, Maine that I keep coming back to. A place where I have a true sense of belonging, and also a place where I can easily venture down Blackwoods Road and momentarily leave all that I know behind.
Check out Schoodic Arts for All, located in downtown Winter Harbor. From plays to contra dances, plus art exhibits, movies, and more. There's something going on every night of the week. Up next, Lamont ventures to Maine's most remote music venue, Eureka Hall in Aroostook County, for a concert by Ben Cosgrove, a traveling composer who translates landscapes into sounds. Subscribe, rate, and review ConcertCast on your podcast app of choice. Type in concertcast.live for a music-centric itinerary and to learn how you can be part of the show. And find us on Spotify to listen to our Maine music playlist. This has been a Good To Go Studios production, made in Ellsworth, Maine. Our resident mastermind is Mark Tuckashan. Our editor and engineer is Pete McGill. Special thanks to the Fremont String Band for their song, Black Road, the Bright Light Social Hour for their song, Sea of the Edge, and Beach Trash for their song, Desperate Nation, and to Pepper Little, Amy Charlie, Abby Rock Jessamine, Corey Chandler, Emma Temmie, Eddie Contento, Jesse Kudo. And thank you for listening.